Hello.
Hello.
Are you excited?
I am now.
I know. We had a little technical difficulties, but we're here and we're ready. And the
Yes.
sun just came out, so that means it's time.
It's a sign for us to start, which is great. Just to give you an idea,
Yeah.
we've gone through 2 audio programs. Finally figured out. Actually, Christina's like
I'm like a
the
tech whiz
wizard.
now.
Yeah, you're actually the wizard.
I've never handled technology ever, really, other than my phone.
Well, you did it. You did it, and now
But it
we
was
can
exciting.
finally record on 2 microphones, which is
So
seem
that's
very
cool.
simple.
We're really happy to be here. Finally.
I'm very happy to be here.
Yes.
Yes.
So let's just get into it. Like, why are we doing this podcast?
So why I'm starting this
Yeah.
is I've always been a nerd about my industry, but what I want to do is give other people who aren't in my office every day seeing what I do a glimpse into like kind of like where we are in the industry.
Yeah.
Because fine jewelry
That's awesome.
is like a very weird bird, and if you work in it, you understand fully what I'm talking about, but it's like a super niche, super
Yes.
mature industry.
Yes.
And so to start a youthful brand that has no history and like no collateral, it's kind of like,
It's a
people
little
look
scary,
at you a little
yeah.
bit. They don't know what lens to view you through. So this is a way that I can directly tell you how I want to be seen and how I want my brand to be represented.
That's
So
awesome.
I'm very excited to like show the people
Yes.
what's going on.
So talking about your brand, what made you first want to even start your brand? Because I know you're working with your family, and then what sparked like this interest in launching your own thing?
So, yeah, I've been working with my family, and I think that when I originally graduated from GIA and I came back, my plan was to not come back. I had my claws dug in to stay in California, and I got a job with a small designer. Actually, he's not small; he's a huge designer, but I got a small job with him. And then when the pandemic hit, I got stranded back here, and I had to regroup and refocus. So I worked with them for about 2-ish years before I really started putting like pen to paper and launching my own line in the store. I did custom work, I did everything, and it was not fulfilling at all. And I wanted that. I was seeking something. I don't know if anyone has this type of background, but it feels very like you have these like bumpers on your lane that you're not allowed to leave at all when you are working with your family's business, because it's kind of like you have 2 paths. It's either really exciting because you joined them and you're helping carry on the legacy, or you didn't. Dun, dun, dun. But it's like that a little bit. So when I worked with them, I have such big ideas and such big concepts. I thought like I really want to make like my own splash with them. So that's kind of where I was headed, and doing custom work, I would get like little jolts of like joy and fulfillment and purpose when I'm working with a client and bringing their vision to life. And I get to like show them my ideas, and they could love them or hate them. That really wasn't as important to me, but it's a whole nother thing when I would make a piece and put it in the case, and then someone looks at it and they're just like, whoa. That's mine,
Yeah.
And so, and it brings me like fulfillment and purpose, and so it kind of gives me like an extra like an extra push forward working in the industry alongside them. So that's kind of why, but
That's awesome.
thanks.
Yeah. I've been there. I've seen it.
You've been with me.
And it is cool because it's so like you said, the industry is really, it's niche, and it's almost like small in the sense that I feel like a lot of people know each other, and it's like there's a lot of family businesses in the industry and everything.
Well, and it's almost like if you launch a new line or a new business, it's almost like, well, who are you? How can I trust you? Because there's a big thing like consumer to an industry person. You have to be able to trust your jeweler, but then on the other side, industry to industry, that B2B relationship is like you have to have that trust. Otherwise, you just like you almost think like, oh, well, where's the relevance? Like, how do I know you're who you say you are, kind of thing.
Exactly.
And I think like now when you see new brands emerge, like these aren't new, but like Missouri and like Orium Collective, those are like trendy, like youthful brands where it's like people our age, like in your early 20s or like late teens, they they know it, they shop it, and it's a completely different ball game because there's like different levels of quality.
Right.
So if you're launching like a young fine jewelry brand, which is what I'm trying to do and have been doing, it's like weird to think we're about to hit a year.
I know.
But
I'm
anyway,
so excited.
when you're doing that, you have to kind of, you know, oh, do I make the TikToks? And then they go to people who were like, okay, well, in 10 years, I'll buy something from your line. Or do you like work the way you've always been working? So I'm always caught at like a fork in the road of what to do. And that's actually why this podcast made so much sense to me. Like, it just made sense to pursue it, you know?
Yeah.
So it brings me a little bit of like, you know, a little bit of full circle moment. It's a
That's
full
awesome.
circle moment.
So when you were making your brand, were you scared that like people weren't gonna like, you know, take you seriously? Because like you said, it's a young brand.
When you're so new to podcasting,
you're hitting the mic.
You just bump the mic. For the audio listeners, I'm really sorry. But anyway, yes, I was very, very nervous. I think I had a point of like, well, I actually tried to launch 2 times before I actually did. And it didn't work because I think we had 3 full-time people on the floor. So I work in the office every day, and I have my day-to-day responsibilities with them. So it's almost like you work a full-time job, and then all I did for Audrey was extra on top of that.
Yeah.
Because it's not really cool of me to ask my coworkers to put in extra time to help me with this venture. So when I was first launching it, I think it didn't really have value to anyone in the store. I don't want to say it didn't have value to my parents because they're really supportive, but they almost were like, well, we'll see what you can do kind of thing, because they're very like that, which I like. I respond well to that.
Yeah.
But there was a point in time, I think it was a month before I launched, because it started getting really real. And I think all my friends, they were talking about going to ACL because I was launching on November 5th. So like pretty much right after that. And I had tickets and I just sold them. I cannot go.
You didn't go?
No, I couldn't go. I was freaking out. And I think I was a shell of a person. Like, I remember everyone who met me in that phase of my life, they have such a weird view of me because I was pretty like quiet, because I'm just thinking about everything that
you had
I
a lot
need to
going
get done.
on.
Yeah, everything I need to get done, everything that could.
Weren't
go
you
wrong.
working like 7 days a week? Also,
yes.
Oh
I was
God.
working like through my weekends for sure, and then I would work on stuff after work, because people don't get it. Like, it's everything. It's not only just like, oh, here's a color and a font. It's like, you know, even like the tissue paper, the bags, and like even if you can pick them, which that's not the hard part. I mean, I was getting to the point where I was like, I don't even care. Just make it green. Let's get it rolling. Because everything takes 8 to 15 weeks to make. So it's like, if you don't think ahead, it's literally not going to get done. Yeah. I think I tried, my original launch date was in April of that year. I was going to launch close. Yeah, I was going to launch close to the like anniversary of my parents' business.
Aww.
And then I had to push it to November. And it was going to be, I think, like before October, because that's like our breast cancer, it's our annual fundraiser, so you can't really cross paths with that. And then I couldn't do it during Christmas, and I was just like borderline in tears. I was like a basket case, because I was like, I cannot push it to the next year, and I won't.
Right. You didn't want to.
No. So November was the day, and I was so...
Yeah, walk us through the days leading up to your launch.
Oh my gosh. Well, I think I called my mom and I told her, I don't think I'm going to do it. I was like, I really don't know that I'm ready. And you know what she said? She said, yeah, I don't think so either. And so, which that's like so her. Like, I feel like she's
a realist for sure.
She's a realist, but they're always trying to do like Jedi reverse psychology mind tricks on me. So sometimes I don't know if it's good advice or if it's actually, you know, they're
but
just
it's
trying
motivating
to trick me.
you either way.
Yeah. So I was very confused. And the day of the launch, I was so nervous. I didn't know what to do, because I was like, who's going to show up? Who can show up? I don't know what's going to happen. And the day of, I was tying the little goodie bags up, and I have tears. Like, I cannot stop crying all day long, because I'm like, no one's going to come. I don't know what's going to happen. And everyone keeps telling me, because no one really knows either. So they're trying to make me feel better. Like, Audrey, if nobody shows up, it's still going to go fine. And I'm like...
And you're like, no.
That's not what I want to hear. I want to hear that it's going to be packed. It's going to be a packed house. But anyway, I was crying. They ended up sending me down the street to my parents' house to like get dressed,
get ready and everything.
Yeah, I came back in the first 30 minutes of my launch, 15 people were there. That's including my family members. So that's including like my aunts and uncles and my cousins. And I was very much trying to keep a brave face. And I think
you were doing a great job, because I was on the other side. I wasn't like with you at that time. So I was like on the consumer side, and I was like, this thing is awesome. So I know you're freaking out, but on the outside, like looking in, it was like, oh, this is so cool. Like, she's launching her own brand. Look at everything she's accomplished. So it's funny, like, seeing your side of it too.
It's crazy. I was trying to keep a brave face, and because I had my GIA friends from Houston like drive up, and they brought me like a gift, and they were just like, I wish you the best of luck. And anyone who's an artist of any kind, they know somebody else doing the same thing as you, watching you, is even more pressure, because they know how the sausage is made. Okay. So it's a little more scary, you know, to have them there, but it ended up filling up so much. I did not account. Yeah.
I couldn't even fit in there.
I know. Well, and a line started developing like around our whole store, and our whole showroom is like, I think it's 2,500 square feet for the showroom. That could be the whole building, but it's
something like that.
It's something like that. I mean, I could always look at it. But anyway, don't quote me. It's just like, that's as big as the showroom is. Yeah. So they had a line wrapping around, in line to talk to me at my counter. And I remember my first customer, because I kind of forgot that we're selling jewelry.
Right. So you're like talking to people.
Thank you so much for coming. And I told everybody in line, I was crying hours ago. Aww. Because I didn't think anyone was going to come. Like, I knew my friends would, but like, of course, like, you just want to know that it matters to everyone. Not, you know, because when you launch a brand, I think one of my friends told me, like, I totally understand your stress, because like, I get it. When you launch a brand, who cares? And I was just like, yeah, exactly.
You're like, I care.
I know, I did. Aww. But I think what got me through is that like, I developed a type of like I hate using the word manifest mindset,
because people don't take it seriously, but it's real.
But it is real.
It is real.
I mean, in many forms. Like, your mind is so powerful. My dad even says this, like, he's like, if you're in a bad mood, what you need to do is like jump up and down, put a smile on your face, and spin around 3 times, and then your day is completely different, because you can dictate like what happens from like this point moving forward. Because, you know, there's people who like attract bad things in their life, and I'm not saying it's your fault if bad things happen to you, but I will say that like, that mindset of like, if I drop something on the ground, like I had, well,
go ahead, you say it.
There was somebody that used to be in my life that used to just like drop something and be like, oh, like, that's another bad thing that happened to me today. And then all of a sudden, the way you view your life is like, I just have a string of unfortunate situations like all together. Right. But I think what helps me is like, an entrepreneur is that like, I think like, I take like 20 steps back mentally, and I'm looking at the whole frame. Exactly. It doesn't actually matter if little goes wrong, because all I need is the end result. That's it. Right. So I'm working towards an ultimate goal. Exactly. One bad step doesn't, you know. Yeah. So I like to call it like delusional ambition. It's a little delusional, because some things I really do need to think out a little more. But most of the time it's good. Like, most of the time it ends up fine, because we're working towards that ending goal, you know?
I mean, it's just how like setting up to film this podcast,
gosh,
we had so many things go wrong.
I mean, guys, I didn't know that so much went into audio.
There's a lot and that goes into
admittedly, it was pretty easy once we did it.
Yeah, everyone's probably laughing at us, being like, oh, these girls. Yeah. It is easy looking back, but now, but when we were in it, we were like, what?
Yeah, it's bad. And I learned a lot.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You learn. So like, bad things happen, but that doesn't mean it's like a bad sign, or that doesn't mean like everything's gonna go bad. Right. That just means you take that, you learn from it, and now you're better.
Well, and I feel like that's step one, is having like a positive outlook. Or even if you're not positive, like you're not like, oh, I'm overwhelmingly like overjoyed with every step of what I'm doing. You can also be a realist and have like realistic expectations. So that's like step one. And then I feel like the manifest mindset is imagining yourself future tense, what you want. Because like, I was watching this video, and he goes into it way better than I do. But he's a scientist, and he takes like this like
that's
scientific
cool.
approach to it. And he
It
was
is
like,
science. People don't believe it.
They don't,
but
because
it
he
is.
was saying like they proved using, oh gosh, don't quote me. I think I think it was using light or sound. I can't remember, but they were saying like things that you actually vocalize turn into matter. And that's like on like an atomic level, but in a real life level, things that I imagine will come true, because it's like, it's kind of like this, like I always talk about living your most authentic life, because your most authentic life is actually your dream life. You might dream I'm this and that, but once you start thinking it and preaching it and setting all your goals to align to that one thing, that your dream life is your most authentic life. You will no longer be satisfied or happy living a certain way. So it's kind of cool to to shift your whole being. And I think like one thing I've learned heavily, and a lot of people I know who started their own like, you know, clothing brands or makeup brands or whatever, they know this too. If you don't have your eyes on the absolute end goal, your ending, whatever, your brand kind of dies. Your business dies a little bit. And that's a little bit extreme. I mean, I think like good boundaries are always good to practice. But I will say that like, I've had days where if I vocalize what I'm wanting out of like Audrey and the whole jewelry line, and I talk to somebody, and I bring it up, I'm getting like more traction. I might have someone be so in love with a piece they buy it that day. I might have them just be so like interested. They follow me, they support me in some way, shape, or form. They're like, I'll go to the next event or whatever. When I'm working it, that's when the attention's on it, and it's like being worked. If I don't talk about it and I just like kind of take like that bystander role in my own life, then it dies. It really dies. And so
well, what I really like about what you do, like when you meet someone new and you talk about your brand, is you talk about everything positive about it, obviously, but you not only talk about it, you truly believe it. So then the person hearing you is also believing it. They're like, oh, this is a really cool brand. This is like what her purpose is and everything. And this is like what she wants to do. So if you portray that authenticity, you know, then people believe it, and people like want to be a part of it and follow it more.
Which it's so interesting you say that, because Christina and I came up with the best way to commemorate my 1 year. Because one of the goals that I had, like I wish I brought one of the cards with me, but I could probably recite it anyway. I talk about what I want for people who wear Audrey is to feel like confident, magnetic. I want them to feel beautiful, and I want them to feel like 100% themselves. And I want them to go and make their mark in the world, knowing that we have their back and we're there for them no matter what. And that's like a beautiful phrase that I love to say to my friends and family and people who have supported my business in the past. But I wanted to really like pull focus and taper it in to where I have alignment with like what I want versus how I'm actually living. So for the 1 year, I've decided to partner with a nonprofit. So that way everything I do, because my brand is my life, like my business is my life. I'm one of those people that like my career brings me fulfillment instead of like working to do something else. Like I've just totally just mushed it all together, and this is where I'm getting my jazziness. And so anyway, I'm excited because Christina and I were talking about my 1 year, and we throw events in the store all the time, little trunk shows, little whatever, you know. I mean, there's different levels of everything. But what we decided, I think, Christina, you were like, we can't do the same thing
I wanted to do something different. Something that was a little more like, you know, like a show.
Something to be like, hey guys,
like an event that you want to go to.
Like it's a real event. You want to
go.
It's a 1 year. That's
exactly
huge.
It's a big thing.
Not everyone makes it to 1 year.
No.
I mean, I think I was a little discouraged until we hit like our first like sale milestone, and then when we hit our second, I'm like, I mean, it's really crazy, and I think we're like on track to doing something really impressive, which is cool. But so basically that day when we were talking about commemorating the 1 year, we went ham. We went to ChatGPT and we said, and you know, honestly, realistically, ChatGPT is very helpful. But
if you ask it the right questions.
Oh yeah, I guess you have to ask them the right questions. But sometimes it's just, you know, it's like an inspiration point.
Right.
But you looked it up.
Yeah, I looked it up and I was like, what can we do for like a 1 year jewelry event? Blah, blah, blah. And it was giving me like, it was giving me like, you could do the normal like raffles and stuff like that, and I was like, I want it to be different. And then they were like, well, you could have pieces on models, and I'm like, this is perfect. This is perfect. We're gonna do a runway show with Audrey custom pieces, and these models are beautiful and the pieces are beautiful, and it all comes together, and it's a way to showcase like all of Audrey's hard work, because she really does work so hard. And I think a lot of people don't realize that, because she kind of has like not two jobs, I wouldn't say, but it's like a mesh of, you
like
know,
two
your
roles,
day-to-day
for sure.
and then your extra brand stuff, because
Right.
like you said, if you don't work it, it dies,
right,
theoretically.
And you've seen it firsthand.
Yeah.
Like, for those who don't know, Christina, she came on with me about like what, 7 months, 8 months ago, something
7
like
months
that.
ago.
And we like, now I'm to the point that I found my footing and have the extra help that we can actually extend ourselves with these opportunities. And she's right. We wanted to showcase that and do something really special. So what we're going to do with the runway show is these pieces I've designed, which that's actually what I want to end up doing with my career and my life. Like, I make ready to go pieces for people to enjoy, all different price points, so everyone can be involved and partake. But what I love doing is taking one piece and making something one of a kind and special.
Exactly.
And maybe I make like a few renditions of, but I've always liked doing that. And so what we did is we found like 8 unique stones, and we made 8 pieces, which is cool.
And it was really cool to see it,
Yeah.
because she was like sitting in her chair, and I told her like, okay, the rest of this day you're just designing. And that's what she did. She had
like
a
the
little
best
like
day.
scarf on.
Yeah, it's so cold in our office.
Yeah,
we
it's
have
really
a
cold.
thermostat war going on, and I don't even know who it's between. Somebody clicks it, someone clicks it up, down. It's like ninja. I do not know who is doing it. I have like a few suspects, but it's so cold in our office. I wrapped like, one of my customers gave me a scarf, like a silk scarf, so I had it wrapped around my face because I was freezing, designing pieces, and I would just crank them out, screenshot them, send them to, with like all the dimensions, I send them to Christina. She submits them to our manufacturer, because things take like 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, our manufacturer is pretty fast. They're on like that 3 to 4 track, but it takes a long time.
It does.
So after that, we found all the models. It was just such a crazy thing.
It was fun, though.
The cool part is that we're going to be partnering with a nonprofit. Yes. And we're donating a percentage of those pieces, the big pieces, to them. And then from that point moving forward, we're going to be donating like 1% of every item sold.
Every
to
sale,
them.
yeah.
Yeah, so I wanted it to
really
be a
cool.
really strong partner. And I interviewed a lot of people. And it's such an interesting interview, because everyone you talk to, they have value. They have like something to bring to the table, and no organization is doing anything bad. So it's a really hard decision to make. And this is going to sound weird, but I found like a lot of the organizations that I was talking to, they're not actually in need of the money. Not to say they don't need funds forever, but they're doing really well. And they were like, that's great. And obviously if you do that, that's awesome. And I wanted to work with a smaller foundation, because I wanted to know the people that I'm going to be working with like directly, so I can have a little more assurance of like, you know, this partnership. And a lot of them were being honest with me, like, you know, we're smaller, so we donate to bigger causes that do have like more like an organized structure. But I found this really amazing nonprofit called Catalyst Ministries, and they rehab women who've been sex trafficked or labor trafficked. And so it's really, really cool. And the stuff she told me was so moving. And they already have an established location in a different state, but the owners or the founders relocated to Rockwall. So it's really cool that I got to, you know, talk to them, meet them, like look at their face, and they could meet me in person, and it was really awesome. So I'm excited to partner with them, and so they'll be at the event educating everybody, spreading awareness, because it happens to everyone.
It happens literally in your backyard, and
it's probably everyone I know's biggest fear.
I know.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Super scary, but it's really cool to be a part of something that helps women in that way.
At least a solution, not a solution to the overall problem, but we can help people who've been affected get back on their feet.
Exactly.
It's really sad when people don't, you know, a lot of these people, they, you know, get hooked on a certain substance and they can't really pull themselves back out. So this, like, it's a 2-year rehab center for these people to kind of like, you know, they even talk to them about, they work really strongly with their mental health, which is amazing because your mentality is a little destroyed after that.
I know.
Maybe not like, I'm not saying people are weak if they go through that, but it's really awesome to be in a program and they sign up for it. So they are wanting this and they go to the center and they learn a new skill. They learn responsibilities. They have other women there with them. The people working there have been through the program and they made a different life for themselves. So it's really cool. And I'm very thankful that they crossed paths with me and I was able to talk to them. But I think it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, we're super excited. So what's going to be happening is these pieces are going to be, you know, on the models. They're going to be a little runway show. And then after the show, we're going to have a silent auction. And then for all the pieces. And then a percentage of each, you know, piece that gets bid on and everything. Goes to this organization, which is really awesome. Yeah.
So I think ultimately, I think that event will kind of give my business a little more meaning. Like when I do every step, I'll feel like it has more purpose and makes a difference, which is cool. Which is something I could not really extend myself to at the beginning. At the beginning, I was just basically, I didn't
trying to survive.
I mean, I went through my month to month and I had 2 really low months, and it's because I didn't order my replenishments for like things that we'd sold. So I had nothing in my case when Christmas hit, which is really, really crazy. But I think like whenever you are doing something, like this is a lot of work. I mean, when we started this, just planning the event, I mean, my event planners know, my people out there who do that for a living know that this is
there's a lot of things that go into it.
I mean, it's not really something you can toss together, though I think we do that, which is not really the best way. But I think it's also important to note that like what saved me through the process, because when I launched, I remember when you first came on, you were so excited because you're like, I'll work on Mondays. We can work like, because we're off Sundays and Mondays. So she's like, we can work on our day off and we can get this stuff done. And I remember she was eager, and it's awesome. And the excitement
I see the vision.
Yeah. But I drew like a hard line in the sand because I think combating burnout is one of the hardest things to do whenever you're first working, because basically what happens is you get in like a sprint and you're so excited and you keep working it, and then you end up just like dying out, which is like, or you get a little bit resentful. I think I've even seen it in my friends who've launched their own business. They'll just like hit a day, and I think a lot of people can relate. I felt this for sure, where you just think and you're like, no one even cares. And you know, I've been doing all of this and I'm not seeing any result, and I'm doing all of this work. I'm putting the whole team on my back. Like you get really resentful because you are doing all of it like on your own, but you're actually just burning yourself out. So I think after my launch, we had our launch party and I was at work the next day and I was making my website because I had a lot of hiccups in the first round, which I mean, we'll get into it as I go on, but because hey, it's going to come up. Yeah. But I think like combating the burnout was actually just setting boundaries where I'm not going to work past a certain time. If I have one late day, I might have like max it at 2 a week. Different rules like that where were helping me out a lot. Like I wasn't going to, I was going to have my weekends be my weekends, and I do something fun or I do something to care for myself. Yeah. Whether that's like get my nails done, whether that's get a Pilates. My mindset really shifted when you add something physical to the calendar. To your week calendar, and that really helps a lot. But it's also helps you with mental toughness because you don't want to burn out when it's something that means this much to you. No. So that's what I think. Awesome. I know. But I hope as we keep going with this podcast that y'all can relate, come join, come chit chat for a little bit with us and just see how we grow, because we're so close to the 1 year mark. I can't imagine what it's going to be like, 10 years from now.
I know.
I'm
excited.
Yeah, it's a brand I want to build that goes with, I'm supporting you, you're supporting me. This is a community where you can come and feel refreshed and understood, and you can get a glimpse into what I'm actually doing every single day.
And we can all grow together too.
Yes, it's awesome.
That's the whole purpose.
And it's slow Saturdays, so take a load off. Take a load off, and that's where we're going to be. Yeah. We'll be here talking to you.
All right. We'll see you next time.
Yes. Bye.
Bye.